2 years ago, on the 22nd of September 2022, I wrote down my North Star vision. And I wanted to live in Spain. I wanted to become a manager. I wanted to make 10K a month. I wanted to become more powerful. And I wanted to help scale businesses over $3,000 a month in revenue. I actually have this written down on my laptop here, word for word. So I'm not going to read you this because it's more than 2 pages long about the future that I wanted to create for myself. But I want to reflect on this because all these things, I've made them come true. I've made them become reality. And it hasn't been because of luck. This has all been a very created future. And what I mean by that is I decided how I wanted to create my future. I wrote it down and I decided to make it work. I think 80 to 90% of the things I wrote down in that vision, in that document, I've made come true within 2 years. Just earlier today, in this very same room, I had a training with a few students for a bootcamp. And while I was giving this training, one specific thing came up very clearly. And that was that these students, around 18 years old, they didn't really have vision. And this is the number one tip that I want to give you guys. Because if you don't have vision, how are you going to create the life that you want to create? How are you going to live the life you've always wanted to live while not even knowing what it is? And I mean, you can write stuff down. Of course, it's not set in stone. If after 1 or 2 years you decide you want to create a different future, fine. Write it down again and go ahead and create. And what I noticed is, of course, these guys were young, they come from school, but they have one special thing, and that's time. But the time is ticking, and if nobody is telling them about how you can create your own future, then at least I'm going to do it through this video. So, writing down my goals on paper changed my life, and here's why. If you sit down truly for like 30 minutes or maybe even more, I've sat down for hours thinking about the future I want to create. The more time you spend thinking about the future that you want to create, not thinking but writing it down, the clearer your vision gets. And if your vision is so clear, so crystal clear, then it's very easy for you to make the right decisions. Because let's say you and your buddies invite you on a Wednesday night to drink a beer, have some chips, and watch a football game. Who cares? Let's do it. But let's say you want to focus on your health and you want to get ripped, you want to lose body fat. Now all of a sudden you don't make those decisions. If that vision wasn't there, you wouldn't make these decisions. So vision, knowing where you want to go, ultimately decides the decisions that you're going to make. And there's a 100% guarantee that the decisions you'll make, you'll end up being happy with making those decisions. Why? Because otherwise you would have written down something else in your future that you wanted to create in your vision. My North Star vision had these 5 main points in the document. It's not a coincidence I made this happen. And I'm not here to tell you how good I am, because truly, I did this in 2 years. Of course, my journey has been a little bit longer. I would say truly, I started at 19. Currently, I'm almost turning 23. So this is not my first day here in this world. But there's just such a big superpower in writing down something on paper that you want to create for yourself and then actually just making it come true. There's such a big superpower in saying, I want to go from point A to point B, and just being able to do it. For instance, I want to get lean, I want to become stronger. Obviously, you need to eat healthy and go more often to the gym. It's not that difficult. You know, fasting and dieting and all the bullshit, just don't eat crap. Start training more. It's actually very easy. And the more time you spend sitting down and refining what your point B is, the more specific it is, the easier it is for you to pursue it. And for me, it was so clear. I want to have scale businesses past 300K a month. More important, I wanted to make more than 10K a month. To be able to make 10K a month, I knew I need to become more powerful in my conversations, in my interactions with leads, with my team, with my managers. And I wanted to become a manager. So that's what I did. And all of those things, you can just write them down and decide it. I cannot repeat this enough times because people seem to always overcomplicate stuff. I just gave a group of students here a challenge. And it's very funny to see the reactions because a few people light up and they're like, damn, this is the vision I needed, let's get it, we're going to create this. But a few other students, you saw the resistance. They were literally physically turning away because there was just so much uncomfortability. It was so much out of their comfort zone. And you better be freaking prepared to go out of your comfort zone, because otherwise you won't get there. This is your safe zone. It's not that difficult. And if you're not willing to go through discomfort, you're going to stay here. So there are two questions you need to ask yourself. The first one is, where do I actually want to go? What is my point B? And that could be one of those points, could be something very different. I mean, I obviously like success and money and all this bullshit, right? But if you for example, just want to live in the Netherlands or in your hometown, and you just like to make 2 or 3K a month, or start a jewelry business, or do something very different, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want, make sure it's freaking clear. How much money do you want? When do you want to make it? Where do you want to live? Who are the people in your environment? Very important details. How is your connection with your family, your brothers, your sisters, but also friends? How is your network? Is it powerful? Is it limited? Can you just reach out to people and they give you a small tip on crypto and now you invest in the crypto and now it's scaling through the roof? Or don't you have that network yet? So where do you want to go? Really easy, that's question 1. And then question 2 is, am I actually willing to do it? Because we would all want to make $1 million a month, right? Let's say I wanted to make $1 million a month. Am I actually willing to go through the steps of becoming the right person and doing the right things to make that $1 million a month? Or is the suffering not worth the end result? And if that's the case, fine, but then drop your $1 million a month goal. Or you say, hey, I'm willing enough to go through the pain, to go through the development, to change myself and become the person I need to be able to make that $1 million. And then you just go and do it. So, 2 questions, where do I want to go, and am I willing enough to go through this phase? Because this phase is the discomfort phase. Whatever, I'm not even writing this down. It's the discomfort phase. If you're not willing to go through it, fine, but then stay where you are. Or set a different goal. And maybe you're willing to go this much through your discomfort, so set a goal that brings you until here. And then this is your point B, where you actually want to go. Because if you say you want this, but you're not willing to do this, then you're just scamming yourself, literally. You're saying to the world and saying to yourself, you want all this stuff. Amazing relationships, amazing health, a lot of money, a lot of success. But then when you have to do the work, everything quits. So I wanted to quickly inspire you by saying it is freaking possible. Whatever you write down on paper for yourself, you can do it. And it sounds so obvious. There's one or 2 things you actually are going to need, besides having this strategy. The first one is obsession, because you gotta have your goals so clear that you can 24/7 think about it. You know these people, when you ask them a question and you say, hey, what are your goals? And they're like, I don't know, yeah, let me actually check my notes because I wrote it down somewhere. No, you need to be able to dream your goals, tell everybody your goals around you. I want to make 100K a month, I want to make 10K a month, I want to travel and live in Spain, I want to do this, because it's an extra level of accountability, and it should be top of mind. It should be something you're thinking about every other day, every minute of the day. And if not, you can ask yourself, do I truly want it bad enough? Because if you don't want it true enough, you're probably also not willing to go through this discomfort. The second thing you need, besides obsession, is going to be never quitting. Because if you never quit, then you're always obsessed. You're always doing everything you can do to find a way how you can create this future for yourself that you've written down. And if you just never quit, you're going to end up creating this future for yourself. If you just never quit. The only reason people don't achieve their goals is because they're quitting. So just don't quit. Don't be in it for 1 year, a few months. Be in it for life. If you give such a big commitment, if you give your whole life to something, now you have an interaction with life. Now life is actually meaningful because something happens in your life instead of sitting on the sofa, eating chips and watching a football game who nobody cares about. Start creating yourself. We're creators. We're built to create. So if you're obsessed about your goals, you can dream them, you can shout them every second of the day. I say, what's your goal? You say, da, 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 this is my goal, this is what I want to achieve. Having that obsession and having this top of mind every second of the day, combined with not quitting, will always give you the end result. Always. So, I hope I can kind of inspire you guys by the future that I've written down here. I'll share the print screens of my document that I've written down about myself, the future Tom that I wanted to create. And I would say, do this for yourself. Write down good measurable goals. Use the SMART method. It's not that difficult. Just Google how to write down goals in a smart way. Write down your goals. Have this list top of mind. You know, look at it daily, do whatever you need to do to keep this thought top of mind. And then just execute on it and never quit. And ta-da, your dream life is created.